plants have problems too. And plants, as they evolve, have the same problems that animals have. Remember, life started in the oceans. And plants, just like animals, started in the ocean, started in the seas. And plants, just like animals, had to evolve. And again, I keep saying come up. And they had to evolve. Don't start calling me Mr. Lamarck here, all right? I'm not trying to say, oh, one day they went, and like grew roots. That's not what happened. But in order for them to survive, they had to have certain abilities or they would have been selected against, okay? So let me get away with this lazy way of saying they had to get. All right. So they had to come up with ways to survive on land. Otherwise, forget it. You'd have a great ocean of life, but all those possibilities out there, and for plants, the possibilities weren't great because, let's face it, there was nothing up there but rocks. Because as plants, by their reproductive systems, spores they would end up on land. Literally, there was nothing to fall into because there was no rotting plant material to grow. So they had it even tougher than animals. At least the animals, when they were down there in their tide pools checking stuff out up there, they were like plants to eat, okay? Because obviously the plants had to colonize the land before the animals did. Just logic, common sense. So what kind of problems would a plant have? Same problems an animal has. Desiccation. You see, as soon as you leave the water, you dry out. And so therefore, when we take a look at some of the structural adaptations and the reproductive adaptations that plants had to come up with, we have to base it on the idea that what adaptations does a plant have in order to survive? And what I was just about to interrupt myself and say is, remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about gradual change and we're talking about natural selection. Okay, and so let's say, what would a plant need to do in order to survive? What adaptations would it need to have? Well, what are you going to protect yourself? How are you going to protect yourself? Well, you have to protect your body.